Hi guys, this is Stuti Gogia. In case you are listening this voice for the very first time, you can go check out my social media handles. And this is season 3 of Stuti Speaks. And today I have a very special guest with me whose name is Hayden. So first of all, like we are trying this podcast from a long time. Ye ho nahi pa raha tha. I think today is the perfect divine timing when it's happening. So thank you so much, Hayden. And how I know you, I got your contact from Yogish, the issue one of my friends. She told me
Hmm.
about you, and she told me that you can speak a very well Hindi as well, which was kind of like very interesting for me because you are. You don't belong to India as such. You came from outside, so though that does not matter. I know you must be Indian by heart and soul, but that was like kind of interesting for me. So I thought, why not to have this podcast with you and know your journey, because I recently saw your stories too and got to know that you did a BA in India and you are growing and glowing. Here. So I wanted to know a bit of details about your journey. So let's start. Over to you, Hayden. Give a bit of intro and we can take it from there.
Yeah. So I guess to start my whole journey with India and yoga and Hindi and everything really started back whenever I was in high school. So when I was 16, I started practicing yoga almost daily at that point. And I was practicing yoga and meditation, and I really wanted to learn more about it. I've always been passionate about mental health and wellness, and so when I started my bachelor's degree, I originally came in studying psychology to become a mental health therapist. And for that degree, you needed a 2 year language credit requirement. So
Okay.
I thought, I'm from Texas, and there, because we're close to Mexico, most people learn Spanish. And so a lot of people already know Spanish, so they make the Spanish classes there very difficult. So I thought, I don't want to take those classes. I don't know any Spanish. They're going to be really hard. And I thought, if I'm going to spend 2 years learning a language, I should learn some language that's spoken somewhere where I would like to travel. And because of the yoga and the meditation, I thought, oh, I would really love to travel to India one day to be able to study yoga, learn about all of this, like from its roots. And so I just like did a quick Google search, and I was like, what is the most common language spoken in India? And of course, Hindi was the first result. So actually, all the Hindi classes were filled at that point. So I like emailed the professor, and I was like, please let me into your class. And so she let me in. And the very first class that I took, I was so overwhelmed because it was immersion on the very first day. So she just starts walking in, and she's like, Namaste, mera naam Gautami ji. And like, I'm like, what is this? I didn't even know how to say like Hana in Hindi, like, couldn't say anything at all. Um, so the first year was really challenging, but because it was such an intense language program, I learned really quickly. And by the end of the 2 year language credit, I was pretty conversational in Hindi. Sorry, my cat is
No problem. Yeah.
getting into things. I was pretty conversational at that point at the end of the 2 years. Um, and I wanted to continue learning. So instead of doing a minor with my degree, because there was no Hindi minor, I decided to double major in Hindi. So I continued to study Hindi for 2 more years in college and completed a bachelor's degree in Hindi. I got very interested in Hindi literature, especially short stories about partition. I read a lot. I took a
Wow.
class on Bhakti literature, really fell in love with Kabir, Mirabai, all of
Wow.
that. And also like Nay Kahani stories. I started reading Chayavad poetry. I did some research on Nirala, the poet. So I got very into Hindi literature, all of that, learning about everything India, even in the modern society, the politics, cultural issues, things going on. And then I guess to backtrack a little bit, the summer after my sophomore year of college, I went to India for the first time. So it was summer of 2019. I did my yoga teacher training, my 200-hour yoga teacher training in Rishikesh. So that was the
Okay.
first time I came to India.
Wow.
Um, and I wanted to come back because, like, I didn't want to leave, but I had to leave because my college classes were starting again. And I wanted to come back, but then there was the pandemic. And so for like 2 years I could not come
Hmm.
because of travel restrictions and everything. And then fall of 2021, finally tourist visas became available again. And so I came back again December of 2021, I came back
Wow.
to do my 300-hour yoga teacher training in Rishikesh as well.
Okay.
So, and then after that, I was there for about 6 weeks in 2021, beginning of 2022. Then I came back again at the end of last year. So, yeah, I came basically in between for America, Thanksgiving and Christmas. Um, so end of November, towards the end of December, I was in India for 4 weeks. I stayed in Delhi for some time. And then I went through Rajasthan, did a few trips. We went to Jaipur,
Wow.
Jodhpur, Udaipur, and then I came down to Mumbai, and left India through Mumbai.
Okay.
So, and then now, finally, in May of this year, so May of 2023, I have shifted to India for the next 2 years at least. I'm
Hmm.
staying in Mumbai right now. I'm attending the Yoga Institute in Santa Cruz there. I'm in a 2 year, 900-hour yoga teacher training there.
Okay.
So that's, I guess, summary of my story from beginning to end. But yeah, I don't know if you have any questions or like
Yeah, I
where
would
to
like
dig
to talk.
into.
Yeah, indeed, I would like to talk more about it. So, first of all, I want to ask like, I might be having different questions. You may choose to answer. If you don't want to, that is completely okay. I mean, we can keep talking more. First of all, like, what visa you have currently? Is it a study visa that you are here on? And because like I don't know what all the things because we live here, so I have less idea that how can other people come in and study and do things.
Yes, yes. So right now I'm on a student visa. So
Okay.
in India, there's a list of a few recognized yoga institutions that teach about yoga and meditation, Buddhist
Mm-hmm.
philosophy, these kinds of things that have been identified by the Indian government and are authorized to issue student visas. So
Mm-hmm.
for like my 200 and 300-hour yoga programs, those were only for a month basically at a time.
Hmm.
And so you just go on a tourist visa for things like that. But because
Okay.
this program is longer than 6 months,
Hmm.
you can only stay for 180 days as a foreigner in India on most
Okay.
visas. Like as a tourist,
Hmm.
in a year, you can only be for 180 days.
Hmm.
So I'm on a student visa, which allows me to stay for the duration of my program. So right now it's valid for 1 year,
Hmm.
but I just have to renew it. Like I just have to go to the
Embassy.
SRO and show I'm still in my program, give verification of all that, and then they'll renew the visa for another year.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's how that
Okay.
works.
Okay, great. So you can't work here? You can't work here at all.
No, I cannot work here at all.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
would be in violation of the student visa. The only work I can do is like an internship directly a part of
Hmm.
like the educational program I'm in.
Hmm.
So yeah, so many people are like, "Oh, we want you to teach yoga classes here." And I'm
Yeah,
like, "I
even I
wish
was
I
like
could."
asking, are you teaching as well? That's what my question was. So you can't do that.
Yeah. So I do teach, but I work completely out of the US remotely.
Okay.
Because otherwise I would like if I am interacting with the local economy here in any way, that's where things start to get like
Okay.
fishy. So
Okay.
I specialize mostly in doing chair yoga with seniors.
Okay.
So I work with private clients and we do one-on-one classes
Okay.
remotely from the US. And then
Okay,
I
so
also do
you
some other
you
like
you only
freelance
take care
work.
of
But
U.S. citizens only. Like if you're taking classes, you're making sure that those are U.S. citizens living in their country, and then they are paying you in dollars only.
yeah, either US or like basically any other country but India.
And not
Just
India.
because,
Got it.
yeah, if I were
Yeah.
to take on clients living in India,
Huh.
like I'll have to file tax returns to the Indian
Yeah.
government because
Yeah.
I'll be here for longer than 180 days,
Yeah. Yeah.
which
Yeah.
means, yeah, that if they see I'm making money in India, I could get in trouble with my visa. So,
Hmm.
as much as I wish I could teach yoga
Okay.
classes here and with Indian clients, it's just as long as
Hmm.
I'm on this visa, it's not possible for now.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So now the second question which came into mind was: Do you believe in past life by somehow? Do you
I
believe
don't
in
know,
past?
I really have
Hmm.
not strong beliefs about
I
the
will tell you
previous
why
life
I'm
and
asking this.
afterlife.
The reason
Uh,
I'm asking is I feel you have a strong past life connect with someone or somewhere related to this country. This is what I am feeling right now. That there is something which is very strong, which got attracted you working here, especially things like yoga, because these are very old. I mean, very old and imbibed in the culture from the longest time. So I feel there was some connection which is that strong, which got you attracted here. So that's why I was asking it. Yeah. Sorry, I cut you off. Please feel free to share your views
yeah,
here.
yeah, of course. I mean, I also I've been told this before by like certain like yoga teachers and things that I've interacted with. They're like, you must have some strange karmas that have
Yeah.
brought you to this country.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but the thing is I like try to be humble about it because there's so many different like religious
Believe.
philosophies and ideologies and everything. Like I've grown up in the US. My parents are Christian.
Hmm.
I'm not personally Christian,
Hmm.
but that's kind of the religious background I grew up in.
Hmm.
I was also a part of the Baha'i community for some time. I've interacted with them. I don't know if you're familiar, but they have
Hmm.
their own philosophy and everything.
Hmm.
I've had friends who are Muslim. I've obviously been very imbibed in like the Hindu culture and traditions as well through my studies and friendships with people here. And I really see like wisdom and insight and common like core beliefs and core philosophies between almost every spiritual tradition there is. And I think the finer details of it, like as normal human beings, as like non-enlightened beings, I think it's a little bit, I don't know, beyond my scope to say
Hmm.
like this is how it is or this is how it isn't. I think the core principles of like how do you be a good person? What are the good
Hmm.
things to do in a day-to-day life,
True.
regardless of what happens,
True.
even if there is no afterlife. I
True.
think it's
Amazing.
about just living your life in a day-to-day basis to where you're taking care of your mental, physical, spiritual health and that you're doing something day to day to make the world around you a better place, to make the people in your life a little bit happier, make their lives a little bit more easy. And I think for me, focusing on that, I'm like the rest of the stress about which philosophy is correct, all the different rules and things like that. There's also a thing I love about yoga
Hmm.
because I think as a practice, it's very much try it and see what works for you. Like there's all these practices, all these different advices and guidance that's been given and tried and tested for thousands of years. But at the end of the day, they say every person's different, every individual is different, and you have to try a practice and understand the area in which you live, the circumstances in your life, the time of year, and even the way that society changes over time is going to change how any practice is going to affect you. So you have to be logical, you have to be practical and try things and see, okay, is this helping? Is it not helping? And just adjust, you
Hmm.
know. So I really like this kind of, it's one of my favorite things about yoga that it's very rational in that way.
Hmm. So, two things I want to tell you. First of all, you said that being non enlightened, I feel you are very much enlightened. I feel that you are quite to a stage like seeing you so young. Like, I feel you are very young right now. And for that kind of age, you are like much more than an enlightened being, because the kind of thoughts you are having, like taking care of your spiritual, mental, and personal health. I mean, it takes a lot to reach to at that stage, and I can personally tell that. And you already being there, I feel you are very, very, very much enlightened. And most of the people, even living here in the country and into the culture from longest, you are very much enlightened being. So thank you for sharing those thoughts. And I think I am very sure yoga ने उसमें बहुत ज़्यादा contribute किया है as a part
हम्म
of it. And sorry, I'm speaking in Hindi because I know you
कोई
know
बात
a
नहीं
bit.
हिंदी में बात कर सकते
आप या यू कैन थोड़ा सा हिंदी में बात करते हैं. से समथिंग, यू वर
हैं
सेइंग
ठीक है
समथिंग, बोलो. क्या बोल रहे थे आप?
कुछ नहीं कर रही थी
कुछ नहीं कह रहे थे. ओके. So how are you feeling living in Mumbai? Okay, you have seen Delhi now. You have seen Delhi now. You have seen
हाँ
Mumbai now. So there is a whole Delhi and Mumbai. India, एक Delhi versus Mumbai thing is always there. कि दिल्ली में ये है, मुंबई में ये है. And it keep on going. Like ये थोड़ा सा चलता रहता है. So how do you
हाँ
feel about? How was your experience in Delhi now living in Mumbai? Can you share like your thoughts?
okay I can talk a lot about this because so I've spent a good amount of time in both cities. So my partner is from Delhi,
Hmm.
so I've spent probably in my life about 3 weeks total, which isn't a ton of time, but a decent amount of time in Delhi. Um, and I'm living in Mumbai now for the last 3 months. And to be honest, I do prefer Delhi as a city to Mumbai. Just and
Hmm.
Mumbai's grown on me. The first time I came, I was like, "Oh my God, I don't want to stay." It was the first city that I had gone to in India that I was like, "I don't know if I like this place." Um, just because I think like Delhi, I really like the metro there. Like I hate driving. The roads
Hmm.
really make
Hmm.
me feel tensed. And
Hmm.
so I really like the metro. Like I feel safe there. It's so cheap and easy to get across the city, quick, convenient. And you
Hmm.
can walk. Like there's so many pretty parks and like I really like going on walks outside. There's footpaths in many places in Delhi. There's Lodi Garden, so many different nice,
Places.
places for you to just go and enjoy nature. Mumbai, it's so expensive just to go from one side of the city to the other.
Do
You
that.
know,
Hmm.
I'll, I stay in Chambur and then my classes are in Santa Cruz. It's
Hmm.
usually like 150, 200 rupees one way
Hmm.
by auto to get there. And
Hmm.
I just think I'm like, Delhi, this would be 50 rupees with the metro. Like,
Metro. Hmm.
yeah, so there's that thing. And like the weather also in Mumbai is so humid.
Hmm.
Um, so there's that. But I will say the thing that I really like about Mumbai, which I don't think in India, is like the diversity. You're in
Hmm.
Delhi, Bangalore, whatever, you're gonna find people who are very strongly like either North or South Indian majority. Of course,
Hmm.
there's some mixed,
Hmm.
but there's a predominance of
Hmm.
certain like cultural groups within India. But in Mumbai, you come, there's people from all different parts of India, even different parts of the world. You have Portuguese, Farsis,
True.
so many
Hmm.
different groups of people in
Hmm.
India, so you can learn about different people, different experiences, even the food. You can see it in different recipes that have developed here. I mean, you can get good North Indian and South Indian food both
Food.
in Mumbai. Like, it's so I really like that,
Hmm.
about the city is
I
I
feel
think
Delhi. I feel Delhi is a slight free and more spacious. I feel Mumbai support dreams much better. I mean, if you are in a city like this, you will outgrow yourself every single day. That's what I feel. I mean, it challenges you to an aspect where you have to grow. आपके अलावा आपके पास कोई और chance ही नहीं बचेगा. That Delhi is still like you be in your comfort zone and yeah, chill a bit. But Mumbai will never make you. I mean that it will challenge your dreams every single day, so you have to outgrow yourself every single day. And I think yeah, this is like there is a separate beauty of each city. But yeah, and I mean I've been a Delhi born and I live nearby, like I live in NCR, so that way I love Delhi more. But yeah,
Hmm.
I think Mumbai supports dreams much better than Delhi because you have to outgrow yourself. Anyways, this discussion can be endlessly taken care. I mean, can endlessly be there. ठीक है. So now let's talk about yoga more, right? How was
Hmm.
like I personally feel yoga is the only thing which can help you grow to a level you can never imagine. Like on personally, like the flex, the kind of I mean you outstretch your own limits. I am not a
Hmm.
like regular yoga practitioner, but I love to do yoga. Like I try to do it as much as possible. So, what are your opinions on that? And especially when you started at such early age of your like young school
Huh.
or something. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I think there's like two areas where you can look at it. One is the physical
Hmm.
transformation, of course,
Hmm.
and one is the mental, spiritual, like emotional kind of changes you experience from yoga
Hmm.
and meditation. Because like, so there's asanas,
Hmm.
of course, and if I speak about my physical like transformation from yoga, like whenever I first started practicing, I like could not even touch my toes with my legs straight bending over. I could not do a single taranga. Like if you practice yoga, like a yoga push up basically, could not do a single one. Like I would come not even halfway down and just fall on the floor, you
Hmm.
know?
Hmm.
And I would say it was probably like 2 years of
Hmm.
consistent practice before I could even do pretty intermediate asanas
Hmm.
correctly, you know? Um, but then now it's been, I don't know, 6, 7 years that I've been practicing. Um, just being consistent. I have been able to do things physically that I never ever I like I'm not an athletic person
Mm-hmm.
by nature. Like I never did any sports as a kid or anything like that. Like was very weak, lazy kind of person
Mm-hmm.
before doing yoga. And it really has transformed my physical health and in a way that I really like because I think that yoga is again, it's a science of well-being and it's there for us in every physical condition we can be in our life, in every age, health level, yoga is there and it can be adapted. So I'm young and fit or whatever, so the type of way I may practice right now is different, but it's like a practice that can go with you until your very last days, keeping your
Mm-hmm.
body healthy. Like that's what I love about working with the seniors as well, is because like designing and teaching a class for their body and their needs, it's completely different than the way that I practice for myself, but it's the same overall benefits. And I think physically yoga is like different than like going to the gym or something because it's functional movements. It helps you prevent injuries. It helps you be able to just go and live your life. Like I have a friend, another yoga practitioner, she was saying, I was going trekking one weekend and I thought, if I had done this before I started practicing yoga regularly, I wouldn't have been able to do the trek. I would have been miserable the whole time. But because I'm doing asanas regularly, I was able to do it no problem. So it's things like that. Like I think I do yoga because I want to be able to run around with my grandkids when I'm 60,
Wow.
and have a good time or like go on a hike, enjoy nature. Like it's about the day to day. Like things like
Got
that.
it.
So that's what I'll say in the physical sense. In the mental sense, yoga is so much more than like we have, Patanjali's Ashtanga yoga. There are 8 limbs, and asana is only the third. You have all the yamas and niyamas, and that's the number one thing. I think even if you can't practice asanas, if you just pick one yama, one niyama, to practice, each day for a month. I think even that will transform your mindset, and transform your life really. Like I know, so this was back in 2019. I did set this kind of like challenge for myself. I was like, each week I would dedicate for 2 months to one yama or one niyama. So I like would start with ahimsa, you know.
Okay.
So
Wow.
this week I'm gonna be completely everything I do try to be nonviolent. Like the thoughts inside my head, you can't
Wow.
be self-critical. If you hear yourself being that way, you have to stop. If you are annoyed with another person, try to have some empathy. When you catch yourself doing that, put yourself in their shoes a little bit. If you do have a problem, how can you communicate in a way that's kind, while
Wow.
still being having self-respect, but in a way that's not, violent towards another person. Then the next week, Satya, how can I be as honest and precise in everything I do? Whether it's the way I show up with my work, whether it's I'm making plans with somebody, if I say I'm going to be here at this time, how can I make sure that I uphold any kind of promise or commitment I make to somebody? Like, and so on and so forth. Like, and that really in like 2 months had such a big impact on my life, just trying to focus on that, so much more than any asanas have had, to be honest. Um, and of course, then you go to like meditation and things. And like, to be honest, the asanas, the meditation practice, like life goes in waves. So there's been times where I've been like really, really dedicated and practiced,
Yeah, that
for long
happens.
periods and
Hmm.
most days of the week. There's other times where like life happens and it's like, okay, I practice asanas like 2 times this week and like I meditated for 5 minutes. But like it's about doing something, like any little thing that you can do on any amount of consistency, like say like look at a week. If you can practice asanas 1 hour a week and that's it, that's better than doing nothing, you know? Or if you can
Hmm.
practice 10 minutes a day, 7 days a week, that's but just like it's looking at what does my life look like right now? What
Right.
can I do
Hmm.
that's consistent for me? It doesn't matter if it's every day, it doesn't matter if it's just something. And the same thing with meditation. If we look at our phones and track how much time we spend on social media,
That.
for
Hmm.
sure, we can carve out 5 minutes where we would have been watching reels or something
So
to
true.
sit and just watch our breath,
So true.
or just sit and play some bhajans or something and just listen as
Wow.
mindfully as possible for five
Wow.
minutes, you know. once in the morning or something, or once in the afternoon, wherever works. But, or even, there's this concept of informal mindfulness. So even
Sorry,
if you don't have time outside,
can you repeat that again? Which what you said?
yeah, so there's also this concept which I like to share with people a lot of formal versus informal mindfulness.
Okay.
So, formal mindfulness practices are like sitting down to do an actual meditation.
Okay.
Like maybe you're focusing on your breath, maybe you're chanting some mantra,
Hmm.
maybe you're doing pratak, whatever. That's like a formal meditation practice. But informal meditation or mindfulness practices are just taking some activity which
Thank you, Hayden. Sorry, you were telling about the informal meditation. We can continue from there. There was some glitch that happened. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I was saying informal mindfulness is something I really like to share with people because it's really approachable. It doesn't take any extra time out of your day. So it's just taking some activity that you're already doing on a regular basis and doing it with full attention and no distractions. So it could be something as simple as taking a shower in the morning. Don't play any music. And while you're in there, don't be mindless about taking the shower. Really focus on the feeling of the water on your hair, the smell of whatever soaps or whatever you're using. Just be fully, fully present and try to notice everything that's happening during the shower or while you're having a meal, trying not to speak to anybody. Don't watch TV while you're eating, just sitting down and completely noticing everything that's happening. Or even on the commute is another option. If you're driving or, in some local train, whatever, in an auto, just again, not listening to any music, not doing everything else, just noticing everything happening around you, noticing the conversations of the people around you, the feeling of the seat, the weather, whatever it is, just completely being present. And it's good to pick an activity that you do every day, and just make that one activity something that every day you do with no distraction and full presence. And I
Hmm.
find that honestly, even beyond the formal mindfulness practices, if I am consistent about having some kind of informal mindfulness, it really trails off into the rest of the day, especially if it's something in the morning, you know like I used to do mindful breakfasts, and I would just sit there and have my breakfast in silence, and just be really, really slow about how I ate, notice every single bite beginning to end, And the whole rest of the day, I felt so much more focused, so much less anxious, you know? And then whenever I actually did do a meditation practice, it was more like I felt more in shape for it. Like I noticed fewer thoughts coming up. It was easier to focus. Like I hear like some meditations have described like this informal versus formal mindfulness is like the equivalent of like taking the stairs instead of the elevator is like informal fitness, or
Hmm.
whereas like actually doing an exercise is like time you're carving out to specifically do
Hmm.
it, or choosing to walk instead of take an auto somewhere if it's
Hmm.
close enough is informal fitness. You're
Hmm.
not doing an exercise class, but it's something small little things that over time help maintain your fitness level. Same
Hmm.
thing here. It's just little micro decisions you make throughout the day that I think can really make a difference. So,
Hmm. Yeah, this is really amazing. I totally love this concept. I will try to do it maybe while brushing my teeth, while I'm brushing my teeth, or maybe
hmm,
showering from tomorrow. Because yeah, I think this is really nice. I generally listen some bhajans while I'm showering, but I think I'll try this, like not even listening those and doing the everything with mindfulness. Maybe I'll try this tomorrow onwards.
yeah. Even
Hmm.
legends would be fine, but I mean, if that's like part of the noise in the environment,
Hmm.
then like that's fine too, Just,
Hmm.
but like being really mindful of because I
Hmm.
think what happens
Hmm.
is it's really hard for us to be in silence, or
Hmm.
like we want to fill up,
The
if we're
void.
cooking, you want to
Hmm.
have some podcast playing in the background, you're
Hmm. True.
driving, you want to hear some music, like we don't want to
True.
just be alone with our thoughts,
So
you
true.
know? So
Hmm.
I think it's good to have just some time of the day where it's
Hmm.
whatever I'm doing, I'm just going to be here while I'm doing it. I'm
True.
making dinner. I'm just
Hmm.
going to pay attention to the feeling of all the different sabzis as I'm cooking. I'm going to pay attention to the smell as I put each different spice, you
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
into the
Hmm.
pan. Like things like that. It actually makes the activity so much more joyful, you know?
Hmm.
Like if you spend
Yeah.
time around little kids, you notice how
Hmm.
you take them on a walk, all the little
Yeah.
things they get so excited
Yeah.
about. It's like you
So
should have
true.
that child's mind
Hmm.
in whatever
Hmm.
activity you want to be
Hmm.
mindful in.
This I've noticed whenever I take out my niece out sometimes, and whenever I'm with her, I'm more mindful on noticing things because she's the one who is noticing it more. So that's what causing me to notice things more. So I think, yeah, with a child you can be that person because they are the one who are more curious about observing the surroundings. So yeah, great insights on this one, Hidden. Thank you so much for sharing this. So now I would want to, like, you go to class daily. You have a daily class here, or you are going alternately? Like, how many hours do you spend on those classes? What are your schedules regarding that?
Yeah, so for the 2-year program that I'm in, it's weekend classes only. So it's Saturday evenings and Sunday mornings.
Okay.
I go to that yoga school. It's for like
Hmm.
3, 4 hours.
Hmm.
I'm there Saturday, Sundays.
Hmm.
And then there's also some work that you do outside of the program.
Hmm.
You know, like you do some volunteering and
Hmm.
internship type work.
Hmm.
Um, and so that's, I haven't gotten quite into that just yet because I've only started the program, but as
Hmm.
you move through it,
Hmm.
there's also things during the week that kind of on your own time, whether it's preparing presentations, doing
Okay.
certain homeworks,
Okay.
or like doing volunteer activities in the community. Like
Hmm.
that's also a part of the program. But as far as classes, yeah,
Hmm.
it's just Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday. Okay. So how does, like, you go, like, in the week you prep up, you do your practices, flexing and all that, your own meditations, and that's what you do in the normal weekdays.
Yeah, so in the normal weekdays, I have my own, asana meditation practice and stuff, and I work remotely. So
Yeah, you told that.
that's
Yeah.
what I spend most of the weekdays doing. It's
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
like the rest of
Mm,
us,
yeah, 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 yeah,
doing
yeah.
my job and
Hmm.
taking care of the house and everything.
Taking care of the house. So how do you, like, going to grocery shopping here, the sabji shopping here? Do you do that quite often or weekly? How do you do that?
Yeah, so oh my gosh, people are gonna hate me for saying this, but this is one of the big cultural differences I think between India
India.
and the US. I don't know about other countries where they fall in this, but like in India, everybody's so like food must be fresh, fresh, fresh. You know, like
Yeah.
I need a freshly made meal for every meal. Whereas in the US, we love leftovers, you know? And I think part of it is because like in the US, house help is not affordable for
Yeah,
most
true.
families. And in most families, both the husband and wife work 40
Work.
to 60 hours a
But
week.
yeah, true
So
that.
there's not time,
Hmm.
to be cooking 3 fresh meals a day. So a lot of the times, like whenever I was growing up, my mom would cook,
Hmm.
dinner, but she would always cook enough for 2 nights for all of us
Hmm.
to eat. So we would have it fresh one night, then the next night she would reheat it, and we'd have
Hmm.
that for dinner the next night.
Hmm.
And so that's how I cook for myself.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
everybody in India is like, that's so unhealthy. It
Hmm.
doesn't it become,
Hmm.
it's not sattvic after you've reheated it. And I
Yeah.
thought, what I always say is, I'm like, I'm not cooking every night. So I have some options. I was like, is it, what's the most unhealthy option? Is to eat out pizza but have it fresh, or to have home cooked food, like have dal khichdi that's 1 day old. So I just think I'm like, I would rather cook one night and
Yeah.
then have, I don't know, we'd have different ideals. It would be ideal to
Hmm.
have fresh food every day, but I
Hmm.
just can't bring myself to cook every single day.
Yeah, I
The
can
other thing in this
totally.
yoga school I met, they say if you cook food in a bad mood, then it's
Yeah.
stomach sick. And I said, well, if I have to cook every single day, I'll be in a bad mood. So it's unhealthy anyway. So I won't do it.
I can, no, so this, like, I can understand, like our parents, they cook fresh, but if somebody has to tell me that you have to prep up for 3 meals and cook 3 meals, I'll be like, no, I don't want to do it. Then I'll be eating the leftovers as well. So now, yeah, a bit of trend has changed in India too because of people like us, like the
Hmm.
younger generations. But yeah, still we prefer to do it, like, at least on daily basis. But yeah, I can understand it's a tough activity to cook every single meal, and then you have better option like going for breads and all, eating breads and having something milk along or chai along or coffee along.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
order groceries. I don't know. I don't have a specific routine. I'll usually do like a big grocery order on Sundays. Like I'll plan out what all am I gonna make this week for
Yeah.
dinners. and
Yeah.
then I'll order groceries accordingly. There's some things though that like will go bad by the end of the
Hmm.
week, so I'll wait until midweek and I'll do another order.
Hmm.
I mostly use grocery delivery apps just because um if I go to a local markets, people really try to upcharge me on
Ha.
all of the
Eh,
produce.
yeah,
Yeah,
got it. Got it.
they'll be
And you
like,
can't
"Oh,
bargain. You don't bargain, right? You don't have
I can try," but
capacity.
the thing is I'm like, I just don't want to deal with all this stress.
Yeah.
Like,
So
I'll just go
Blinkit rocks.
somewhere where there's
Yeah.
fixed price. I don't.
Yeah. So Blinkit or maybe whatever milk basket or whatever works for you.
Yeah, I use Swiggy,
Swiggy, yeah.
mostly the Instamart,
Instamart,
but
yeah.
yeah, so that's how I do groceries.
That is a
But
better option. So, like, we are reaching towards the end of the podcast. Two
uh,
things I want to ask. First is, if you want to share like your upcoming plans after your student visa is completed, only if you want to share. Second, any last notes for listeners regarding yoga or India or whatever you want to those two things. So one by one, you can go ahead with that.
Okay, I guess so. I'll just start with what are my plans for the next few years.
Hmm.
Like I said, I am in this program for the next 2 years, so I should finish around May of 2025. So
Hmm.
till then, I'll be in India doing this program. Like I mentioned, I teach classes online as well as do some other freelance work. I'm planning on in the next year or two beginning a Master's of Social Work program because ultimately like my long-term goal is to combine yoga and mindfulness with therapy to be a mental health therapist and
Wow.
kind of combine these practices for like a more holistic approach to mental well-being and everything. um so that's kind of in my plans for the future. In terms of like living in India, I'll be here for at least 2 years, but for my master's I'll most likely have to go back to the US for some time, because of how licensing works and everything for psychologists in the US. Um, but after I'm done with that, I don't know. I'll decide what I want to do. um, to be
Yeah.
honest, like I would probably prefer to settle somewhere in India, but it depends
Wow.
on a lot of factors, right? Like it comes down to like family, career, like even things like climate change and everything in the next 10, 20 years. Like I'm from Texas and it's already getting so much hotter there. Like I don't even know how livable that state is going to be in 30 years. So there's just so many things. I
Hmm.
can't say exactly where I'll be, but I think that's not important. Like I try to just say like these are my values, these are the non-negotiables for me, and then as life comes up, I'll make
Yeah.
decisions according to those, but you can't plan
True.
so rigidly. But yeah, that's I guess my plans for the future. Right now, I'm also sharing things on Instagram and I've started YouTube as well. So my
Wow.
username there is Hayden.maples on both platforms. It's Haiden.maples, Maples.
I will
My
specify
name's
your details. Don't worry. I will do that in the description, everything. So
okay.
I'll try to market it wherever possible.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I'm just sharing things there.
Yeah.
Um, And I guess as far as like anything to say about yoga and meditation for the viewers, India, everything. As far as yoga and meditation, I would say it's really easy to kind of get obsessed with being so esoteric and being really like I'm going to be a sadhak every day, but I think that's honestly not sustainable for most people. I think it's about saying what is the bare minimum that I can do on a regular basis
So
so that the actual life I'm living day to day I can be the best version of myself or a little bit better of a version of myself. Because the fact is, as society, we can't have everybody withdraw and become ascetics. We can't. Oh, that's not the purpose of this life. But I think yoga is a great tool for us to live day to day better, and
mm,
overall to have a more peaceful, more agreeable, more conscious society. So I would just say look into what's one thing I can do, even a small commitment for the next 1 month, and just commit to making that one small change. And then after the next month, maybe add another, but not putting so much pressure, make it simple, make it easy, and go from there. And I think little changes have big impacts over time when you can be consistent about it. And then as far as India, I know we're getting towards the end of the podcast, so I will try to
No,
be
no,
brief
take your
about
time.
this.
It's no hurry. Go ahead. We have
Yeah, I
time.
will try to be brief, but um, I will say that I think, whenever I told my parents and like friends and family that I was going to move here for 2 years, um, they were all, of course, surprised, and especially the people who didn't know me as well and know this like obsession I have with India were even more surprised. And like people have this hard time understanding, especially people who haven't been to India before. And even like Indians themselves message me quite frequently and they're like, I am wanting to move to the US and you're someone from the US wanting to move to India. I don't understand it. Um, but I think two things is one of the people really underestimate what a good country India is, you know. Um, and I think also people in the West really overestimate how much they need to be happy, you know.
Hmm.
I think there's so much in India that to
Hmm.
me makes my quality of life better here than it is in the United States. And
Hmm.
to be fair, I do come in with a lot of financial privilege, you
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
like I've been earning in dollars. I have my parents who earn in dollars. And so I can afford a lifestyle here in India that's much better than what a lot of people can afford.
So
So
true.
that, you know, caveat has to be said. But I'm saying, as someone who can, have like a middle class lifestyle here, the ways and like the type of community that exists in India doesn't exist anywhere else in the world, I don't think.
Wow.
Like in the US, people very much stick to each other. They're not nearly as friendly. Things are very formal and things are very, very rigid, like in terms of work and school and everything. Like, I think the kind of workaholism and stuff that exists, not that that doesn't exist in India, but I think there's also much more of an appreciation for like we're living in nature and you can't artificially create life and structures in society, and life is going to happen and there has to be room for like a cow's going to cross the street and we're all just going to have to stop for it and we're going to be 15 minutes late to work. Like that's just what's going to happen. Whereas in the US you show up 15 minutes late and like you're in trouble. So there's like things like this. And I mean, even just simple things like being able to go have street food and things like that doesn't exist in the US. And like, again, like yoga and Hindi literature and just the connections with people you're learning about the history, the politics, everything about India. I think the kind of richness that exists in this society is so profound, in a way. And I'm so excited in my lifetime to see like India's grown so much in the last, what, like 60 years or so since independence. And I'm very, very excited to see like in the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years how much India is going to grow and change. Because I think, I was talking to a friend a couple weeks ago, like the kind of perception that some foreigners have had about India, like my parents' generation, I think is really, really starting to shift. And I think, the kinds of innovations that I see India doing in terms of technology, in terms of education, in terms of art and culture, whenever you have so many of the challenges, that India has going up against, the amount of like creativity and like jugaad that you have to do to like become one of the biggest players in the global economy and all of this, I think so many Western countries are going to start looking to India for inspiration, for guidance, for learning. And so I would just say, like, I love this country. I think people sometimes can undervalue it. And of course, there are like very real realities that like make living here very, very difficult for a lot of people. And that's like not to discredit that. But I think there's also so much to be appreciated and valued. Like, myself and so many foreigners I know come to this country and just love it. And then they go back to foreign countries and they're just like, I feel so lonely and sad and stressed and pressured all the time. And so, I just think there's a lot to be. I know I'm not being very organized in how I'm saying this, but I just think that India is a very, very unique country and it has a lot of uniqueness and a lot of special things that you can't get really anywhere else.
Hmm.
And I appreciate that. I feel very lucky to be able to live here. And I think everybody who's been lucky enough to be born here, you know, everything else sustaining should take some time to also feel really
Yeah.
Independence just Day just passed. So just,
Mhm.
feel grateful about it. It's a very, very special place to be in the world, I think.
That's great, amazing. I'm feeling overwhelmed listening. There was a point in my time where I wanted to move to US, and there was a point in time when I wanted to move to Canada or Australia as well. But now, if I look back, I feel really lucky that that didn't happen. I mean, I think that was a blessing in disguise automatically for me. So I'm happy living here, and I mean, things are better. And even I look forward for what is upcoming for India in like upcoming years as well. So thank you so much, Hayden, for being part of this podcast. And I will specify all your details like YouTube, Instagram, social here. And I look forward for talking to you again in upcoming years, maybe after you are done with your studies and all. So thank you so much. Thanks to all the listeners for listening to us. So you want to say thank you, maybe, and then maybe we can end it.
All right. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I really enjoyed this conversation. I'm so glad we finally got to talk after so many months of
Yeah.
going back and forth.
Boy, yeah. So thank you so much, listeners, for listening to us. And on that note, stay happy, stay blessed, and most importantly, stay grateful. I'll see another one. Bye.